Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students and welcome back again. Dear students, in our previous video we were talking about the osmosis in animal cells, and today we will learn about the osmosis in plant cells. My dear students, as we have learned in our previous lesson, when an animal cell is placed in the solutions with different osmotic potentials or with the different water potentials, it responds differently. Whenever it is placed in a hypertonic solution, the cell bursts, and if it is placed in the hypertonic solutions, it becomes crenated. As compared to the animal cells, the plant cells are quite different because they have a protective wall around the cell that is called as the cell wall, and inner side of that cell wall there is the cell membrane present, which act as a partially permeable membrane for osmosis in the plant cells. Dear students, now you can see the difference between the animal cell and the plant cells. Because in the plant cells there is a wall which protects the plant cells, and that means that plant cells, if they are placed in the solutions with very different water potentials, it can survive to some extent. Let's see what will happen to the plant cell if we put it into the hypertonic solutions, and later on we will put it in the hypertonic solutions. So let's begin with that. If we place a plant cell in a hypertonic solution, as we know that in a hypertonic solutions the water potential is high, and the water molecules can move more freely. If we place that plant cell into the hypertonic solution, what will happen to the plant cell? Dear students, the plant cell will become turgid. It will swell up. Dear students, why it will swell up, I'll tell you shortly. Because if we put that cell in a hypotonic solution in which the water molecules can move more freely as compared to the plant cells, the water molecules will pass along the cell wall, which is a freely permeable membrane, and they will enter across the cell membrane into the plant cell. Because in normal conditions, plant cells they have sugar solution in the vacuole and in the cytoplasm, but in the hypertonic solutions the water molecules can move more freely, and from this beaker the water will move inside the cell, and what will happen, the cell membrane put the pressure on the cell wall of the plant cell. This is just like if we put a balloon in, you can say that if we put an inflated balloon in a box, what will happen? That balloon will push the pressure on the walls of that box. Similarly, the cell wall is just acting like that box, and the cell membrane is just like the wall of the balloon that pushes the positive pressure on the cell wall. So, dear students, in hypertonic solutions, when we place the plant cell, what will happen? That water will move from the high water potential to the lower water potential, and it will put the pressure on the walls of that cell, and ultimately that cell is called as a turgid cell. That cell is called as a turgid cell. Just like an inflated balloon that is also a turgid structure, just like that cell will respond. Okay, my dear students, what will happen if we place that plant cell in an isotonic solution? Yes, you're right that the plant cell, there will be no changes occur in the plant cell, because both the solution and the plant cell, they have the water potential at equilibrium. Okay, dear students, in the second situation, if we put that plant cell in a hypertonic solution or a sugar solution, what will happen to that cell? We will come to know about that shortly. That cell will become flaccid. That cell become flaccid. The cell wall will remain the same, but the cell membrane will be just like that. Okay, dear students, if we put in that conditions, the cell become turgid, and if we put this plant cell in a hypertonic solution which has more concentrated which is more concentrated and it has a lower water potential, as we know that the more concentrated solution has the low water potential. As you can see, there is more solutes present in this solution. The water potential is low. The water molecules will move from the inner side of the cell into the beaker, ultimately making that cell a condition that is called as flaccid. My dear students, these two terminologies, turgid and flaccid, I can explain it to you just like that. If we are watering a plant on daily basis, that plant will stand up upright straight, and that conditions is basically a turgid conditions in which all the cells of that plant, they are in a state that is called as turgid. And if we are not watering the plant, what will happen? It will wilt down, and that is a condition that is called as flaccid, because all the water will come out of the cell. That condition is called as flaccid condition. And if we put that plant cell for a long time in a solution, in a hypertonic solution, that condition will ultimately changes into the plasmolysis. That will result into the plasmolyzed condition. Plasmo means the cytoplasm and the lyse mean the breakdown. That means if we put the plant cell in a hypertonic solution for a very long time, what will happen? That all the contents present within the cytoplasm of that cell, they will come out of the cell wall, and that will result into the plasmolysis of that cell. In the plasmolyzed condition, the cell membrane separated out from with the cell wall from the cell wall, and that is being covered with the solution that is present inside that beaker. That is a plasmolyzed situation. In this situation, the cell surface membrane, which is called as cell membrane, that is separated from the cell wall. My dear students, this was all about the osmosis in the plant cells. And osmosis basically is a mechanism through which the water moves from one cell to another cells. That means the neighboring cells or the adjacent cells, they share the water with a mechanism that is called as osmosis. My dear students, in our next lesson we'll talk about the uptake of water in the plant cells. Till then, Allah Hafiz and take care of yourselves and the people around you.